everyone. This is not the KSL. Welcome now to game one here, and in fact, the series. It's the first match that happens in Masters Coliseum. It's Serral and Maru, and in the upper left, in the blue, for Basilisk, it's Serral. And of course, in the bottom right, in the red, for Onside Gaming, even as our music ends. He's the best Terran player in the world. It's Maru. And man, it is not often we get to see these two players match into each other. Yes, maybe occasionally in the playoffs, maybe occasionally in a group stage, but not in an online tournament. Not all that often. It's, I mean, and maybe this is against it a little bit. I don't know. But the fact that we get to see Serral and Maru playing into each other at this point. By the way, Serral not playing for Evil Geniuses. I need to change the logos mod after this. He is not J-Dog. They used a different logos mod, and mine is out of date. Mine is incorrect. But anyway, so yes, Serral's not playing for Evil Geniuses. He's playing for Basilisk Gaming, just so we're clear. That's not even Evil Geniuses logo anymore, and has not been for quite a while now. But anyway, this is a rare matchup, but it is a special one indeed. We have Maru, who, you know, he's won both GSLs this year. He's been looking rather solid. And on the flip side, I mean, Serral is Serral. He didn't win Gamers 8, actually. Surprisingly knocked out 0-3 by Solar in the round of 8, but he had a great... Well, actually, it's not even totally fair. He got taken down a little bit in the group stage. He was not one of the first two out. That was Classic and Maru. But I want to talk about this build a little bit before we get into things too much here, because Maru is aping the build that has really taken, and we actually talked about this on Real Talk Strategy today. Maru is aping a build that has taken the TVZ world by storm, and that's this single or this double barracks forward 2 racks expand build. Where you go, you get your 2 barracks on the low ground. You build 3 Reapers out of that is kind of how this is going for the most part. You put pressure on, then you go into some sort of a 2-1-1 follow-up or a 4-rack stim. There are a bunch of different options. And Maru's aping this a little bit, right? He goes and he puts his first barracks down in the wall, and Serral may have... Actually, I'm assuming Serral is... No, Serral, actually, this is the first time he's going to see anything. Generally, you would see this with an Overlord, and you say, okay, well, you know, this is the 2 racks build. You would even see the first one down, and that would be your expectation, but that's not what's happening here. Maru is playing greedy. Now, the cool thing about this, by the way, is this is a 2-1-1 anyways. It's not 2 barracks, command center, you know, go from there. It's effectively a Marine expand. That's what we see right here. Marines are getting popped out. Barracks on the low ground is just a really nice wall on a map where you do have this ramp. It's a lot of HP that it's hard for the Zerg to get through. And behind this, he's expanding. He's playing something that is a little bit greedier. His command center was much faster than your kind of Reaper play. But it's still a 2-1-1 anyways. We still have that second barracks down now. 1 factory, 1 starport. And this is an interesting follow-up. So we've seen Beyond do this a little bit, where he goes 2 barracks right into the command center, and he gets that single rip. He gets a single Banshee, and he goes from there, and it's pressure all over the place, and it's super cool. But Maru's doing it a little bit differently here, right? Because I want to say this is a single Banshee for now. But committing to Cloak makes you think we're going to get a second. And Serral committing to all of these roaches. Now, granted, you know, he is droning a little bit behind this even still. But Serral committing to all these roaches, these do not have an aggressive pathway. This is just roaches into a mid game. And in fairness to Serral, we have seen this roach mid game play quite a bit, actually. He did a lot of it at Gamers 8. So the fact that we see Serral leaning into kind of roaches as a stabilizing force into the mid game is super cool. This is not how I think of what I think of when I think of Serral. I think of perfect scouting and Ling Bane. So to see him going into roaches here, really, is Dark is the only one we think of that does this. But it's kind of cool to see this evolution. Actually, I think we asked him about it during Gamers 8, or maybe the mainstream did, I forget. But yeah, he mentioned that he was taking a page out of Dark's book, just a little bit. For now, though, gets a scout into the main base, sees that Stim is on the way, sees that second barracks, and Banshee gets a little damage. Serral was ready for it for the most part. Spores were on position, so only 2 drones go down. But because Maru is going into this 2-1-1, because Maru is maybe committing to this a little bit more, his third base is not late, but it's slower than the fastest possible. Going down right around 5 minutes does kind of say that he wants to get something done with this pressure. Pressure that, because Serral has gone roaches, it doesn't really seem like Maru's going to get a lot done. Not all that much. So for now, we go into the mid game. Serral, he's got double Evo on the way. Maru is going to go for that double drop, as one does with a 2-1-1. This is just a little slower than your standard 2-1-1 drop. Normally, you would kind of load up at 530, but the Banshees are here, and that's extra gas that Maru committed to, so that does make things a little different. But it's going to get scattered out immediately because Serral, even playing a roach style, even without speed roaches, he does such a good job of just paying attention to the map, spreading his creep, spreading his influence on the map here. And again, this game is no different. His 4th base is on the way, that's fine, but he's got creep spread ahead of it, which is not something that most Zergs are able to do. So for now, the Banshee, a little obnoxious. Eventually, we'll run out of energy, and I think, oh, okay, no. There was enough energy left, so Maru keeps that alive, continues to get a little bit of damage done, but this build from Serral is all about getting to the late game as quick as possible. And the funny thing about this, by the way, is this is a build that I think is actually going to get a little bit worse and a little bit better. No, it's just going to get a little worse, actually, with the proposed balance changes. So for those of you that are not aware, there were about 27 individual changes proposed by the balance team yesterday. One of those is heavily buffing, I guess, the first blush infestor, right? They pop out and they can immediately drop a fungal. But on the flip side, it's 20 damage instead of 30 damage on the fungal now, and it's a little bit lower range. So this means that Marines are going to be able to survive against these mid-game fungals so much longer. It's not just, say, 3 fungals versus 2 because you have medevacs. And that means healing. They'll be able to heal through that with a little bit. And I'm not sure how the math is going to work out, but it's going to, I think it might be 4 to 5 fungals. So what this means now is this build that Dark and now Serral is adopting, I think it's got a timer on it. And certainly this is a build that we're used to see all the time. Well, a version of it in early Legacy. You would go Roach, Ravager, and Fester because fungals hadn't been nerfed as hard as they have been at this point. So you just drop Neurals, drop fungals, or drop fungals, drop biles, and kill everything. Anyways, this build is all about transitions from Serral. He is getting himself up to Hive very quickly here, getting the 2 infestors just to 2 infestors, right? 2 fungals. They one-shot 60 or however many Marines they hover and medevac, right? So they deny drops that way. They just make it very hard for the Terran to push before they have ghosts. And what this means now is Serral can get up to Lurkers. He can get up to Hive. He can get up to 2-2. He can get up to his 5 bases. Pretty much everything. And it's very hard for Maru or Beyond or anyone else, whatever Zerg player or whatever Terran player happens to be playing. It makes it very hard for that Terran player to have reasonable aggression, to really find that value. Although, if we're talking about this, Maru is like the one player. Maru's like the one player where I don't know that I want to force him into the late game. You know, like, yes, Serral has historically probably he's the best late game Zerg of all time, and I think maybe Rogue's the only one that can hold a candle to that. But even still, man. Serral. I didn't even pay attention. I did notice he finds himself a little bit supply blocked, doesn't have enough overlords, so we're going to spore cancel 8 spores to make sure we can get our lurkers out. Hit the timing that you want to hit. I don't know that the timing is that thin that you need that. But it's fun. Actually, look at this here. Talk about things that are getting buffed or nerfed in the most recent, in the proposed balance changes. Well, Dropper Lords, especially with pneumatic carapace, are getting, pneumatized carapace are getting very heavily buffed. But it's a fake. I guess they just haven't picked up just yet, but the entire army from Serral's on the right side. Maru's dealing with this, but it's just not ready yet. So the lurkers are going to burrow up on this, timing the planetary. Is it going to stay alive? Serral's going to commit to it. The bios land, but no, it's going to stay alive for now. The lurkers are forced back for the cost of 14 SCVs. Who the hell cares? The planetary stays alive, and Serral, I mean, that was expensive. That was tremendously expensive coming out of Serral right now. And yeah, you know what? Maru's supply drops a little bit. That's fine. That was the 2-2 timing with lurker, with seismic spines, right? With was it seismic spine? Whatever, lurker burrow, or burrow range. All these things. That was the timing that Serral wanted to hit. That was kind of what he's been building up for the last 10 minutes, and Maru swats it aside with a good portion of his army on the left side, dealing with the fake dropper lords. Maru's in a great spot right now. That being said, dropper lords on the other side, where it seems like Serral wants to get ready for some lurker drops, but the army is going to find it. That being said, there's a great fungal on the medevac, so a lot of mobility, a lot of healing now gone from this army. And Maru cannot be nearly as active on the map as he would otherwise like, but this scan does see that there are dropper lords. So Maru, you should be somewhat ready, somewhat prepared for whatever it is, whatever Serral decides to kind of swing in for this one. So for now, there was a building. I'm not sure what the building that was canceled was, but there was a building that was canceled. Now there's a spire on the way for Serral as he gets ready to properly and truly move into the late game. For now, though, Serral's gonna... Oh, Maru's gonna find a bunch of lurkers here that I guess Serral left behind. And yeah, you know what? A lot of these Marines will die. Actually, Maru can't kill at all. But that was like 4 or 5. That was like 4 lurkers for the cost of Marines. Gas for minerals. I mean, you take those. Every single day of the week, you take those. And now Serral's going to... Or he's going to try to push in here, but with the ghost count as it is and the tanks behind... I mean, don't go up the high ground here, Maru. That's a little bit of a problem, but... I don't think Serral can push into this easily. Not with only kind of a portion of his army. Serral's going to try to do it right here. Scan gets dropped. And now the Ling is trying to get on top of the ghosts. That's not necessary yet. And these lurkers long range, they're getting 6-7 workers. But I think that's... Was there damage elsewhere? No, there wasn't. Meanwhile, drop on the other side. Doesn't get much done. No, that was the... I'm sorry. I can't... I read that as 8 SCVs, or 8 SCVs, not 8 drones. But yeah, so the drop on the other side gets decent damage done. 8 workers go down. That being said, Serral's still at 77 drones, and he's got a bag. So, I mean, not super relevant yet, but any value, any positive trade is going to be good for Maru as the game does go later, because make no mistake about it, this is a game that is going to go late. This is a game that Maru wants to go late. We see 3-3 on the way, but we also see 2 extra factories. We see nukes getting dropped. Maru is getting ready to move into this ghost-mech style. That is the reason that last year, 2 years ago, Zerg was saying that Maru was unbeatable after 20 minutes. There was absolutely no way that Zergs could deal with Maru. Past that point, just impossible. And then Serral did it, of course, in what was it, the round of 4, I think, of Katowice. Round of 8, round of 4, something like that. But suffice it to say that Maru is very, very good at this style in this late game. And that just means we get a treat. We get the king of Zerg, really the king of Zerg late game against the king of Terran late game. And well, that just means it's going to get fun. Drop doesn't get much, but there is a nuke on the bottom side, and Serral is slow in reacting until right now. So the nuke's going to get a lot of larva. That's nice. We still have 56 on the map. I mean, I don't know how big of a deal that is. Despite when Steadfast and I were casting Game Vs 8, he got so excited about larva getting nuked, and it's like, well, there's still 86 on the map. So it's not super relevant here. It might end up being at some point. But more nukes on the way, factories on the way, blue flame and +3, which is that breakpoint that actually Terrans love. Because what blue flame and +3 means is that Lings get one shot by your Hellbats, which makes it actually, this army so much more powerful. Is now, I mean, we're solidly into ghost-mech territory. There is not a ton of bio left anymore. In fact, no Marines, 5 Marauders, that's it. But we're on 15 ghosts. And with the Hellbats and the tanks and the Liberators, everything else, this is a terrifying Terran composition. But for now, it does seem like Serral's going to be able to push in. The ghosts were not quite where they needed to be, and well, now they are. That means the lurkers get sniped the hell on down. Fungals aren't there yet. They're just not in time. So Serral, he's just getting feasted upon a little bit. Good EMPs there until the last one will land, but I don't, yes, it doesn't seem like Serral's going to be able to jump on top of this all that much. So Hydras run in, snipes go down, and Serral takes a pretty punishing trade. He's got some sort of run by Roaches on the north side, but Planetaries and Liberators say that's not going to last all that long. That doesn't really matter. It's not substantive damage. It really is just Serral trading his supply out. That was expensive for Serral. Make no mistake about it. The resources lost here somehow actually continue to stay somewhat even. It's been about a 3,000, 4,000 resources lost gap for the last 5 minutes. Something like that. That last fight felt pretty bad for Serral, but I mean, I guess the trades worked out. Anyways, +3 mech just about done. We do have Blue Flame done. That's the big deal right now. Between those two upgrades, again, Lings will get one shot. It does make these Hellbats so much more powerful. And now we're into the gravy upgrades, right? You know, +1 armor, that's nice. High-sec auto-tracking, sure, it's a good thing. But Serral is, again, also transitioning into his proper late-game army here. He's got Broodlords on the way, Neurals, 2/3 of the way done. And by the way, Serral's Neurals are a thing of beauty, so keep an eye out for that one. But for now, he's got creep 3/4 of the way across now. He's got a ton of Broodlords here, but the ghosts are going to run forward. Snipes go down, get a Broodlord. They're gonna get a ghost, and really, not a lot of damage goes down. The lurker will fall here as well, and this is where Maru is terrifying. His ghost count just moving forward. And by the way, you want to talk about why Maru is good? He does a better job of keeping his ghost alive than anyone else on the planet, and it's not close. So Maru, yeah, he will lose 2 ghosts right there, but boosts the medevacs in, gets most of them out. And now we're going to see, you know, Liberators go forward, a little bit of splash damage. The Banelings try to crush in forward, but again, there are tanks here. There are Marauders at the front, and, you know, it takes 6 Banes to kill a ghost. This is just not getting value. And now that the ghosts, they have survived this fight for the most part, it's their turn to run forward. It's their turn to start to find value right now. That means Broodlords getting sniped down, Overseers getting sniped down here. This is, Serral has to take fights from multiple angles, and he's not finding them yet. Attacking in the front like that is just not a play. And now we're going to start to see resources lost. That was a 2,000 gap right there. That was 2,000 resources more expensive for Serral than it was for Maru. And yeah, Serral's got a bank. That's great. Yeah, his army is not bad, but he does have to start to find ways to continue to trade some semblance of cost effective, or he needs to steal a base from Maru. Both of those things are hard as we now talk about tanks and ghosts and Hellbats and everything else, but Serral's going to try to do it right now. Lings run forward, Hellbats kill them all off, but now the Banelings find their way onto the backline here, so Maru has to kite away, and that means these tanks will fall. That means the Vikings fall. That means the Liberators fall. Serral opens up a bulkhead just a little bit. And of course, behind this on the bottom side, Maru, he's trying to take the bottom side base, but there is creep there, so Serral should be able to deal with this. And that's the kind of fight you're looking to take for as Serral. You're trying to open up positions. You're trying to fight the army when it's not 100% sieged, and take that to unlock bases like this north side planetary that really make it harder. If you play the same map as Maru, if you each get half the map and mine out of it, Maru will win. He's just going to be more cost effective. But if you deny a base from him, even better, if you steal a base from him, if you mine money out of his base, that's the game Serral's looking to play right now. So for now, the nuke doesn't land, but it does force Serral off the high ground, which I think is all that Maru was trying to do. As now Spores are going to run forward. That soaks some tank shots, which means the Broodlords can play just a little bit here. But the thing that we're lacking, we have Burrow. The thing we're lacking is Burrowed Infestors. So now Fungal and Blinding Clouds are fantastic. And Serral's going to run right on forward. The tanks are dead. The Thors will fall. And again, another fantastic trade. And we talk about this. Now the Broodlords can start to play. The Lings get on top of these Thors. And now there are only 2 Thors remaining. The Fungal. Oh, great split there from Maru. Great split there from Maru. But that was, again, a great fight from Serral. Once again, he forces Maru back. He knocks down all these enabling units. Because this army is about the ghosts. But again, another fantastic fungal. You knock down the units that allow the ghost to do what they want to do. So the beef, the tanks, the Thors. So by getting that fungal, by getting those blinding clouds, by running forward like that and knocking them out, he forced Maru off a position that Maru thought he had. And now this is just going to be a dead planetary. Now the snipes are nice, and you don't want to lose the Hydras. But as long as the Broodlords stay alive, I think one will fall here. This is still a pretty... Oh, that fungal, though. There's no follow-up. There's no follow-up on that one. Still a good fungal. And now Serral gets the base. Maru doesn't have that bulkhead that he really wants, and this buys a ton of time for Serral. And more importantly, over the last 5 minutes, the gap has only gone up by about 2,000 resources, which is it's significant. But it's not as bad as it often is. Maru now, he's just about to remax. He's got +3 armor on the way. Soon enough, it's getting started now. Serral getting his air upgrades to make sure that really impact damage on the Thors, which is the most important thing now, is really strong. So EMPs on everything, but the blinding clouds are fantastic, as are the fungals there. So the Banelings, they're going to run in. Once again, Thors will fall. But now, I'd love just the couple Marauders that Maru is building. And this is not something, by the way, that most players will do in this late game. They're going to say Ghosts, Thors, Tanks, Hellbats, Liberators. Fine. The 4 or 5 Marauders that Maru is building means that these Infestors, that the units on the ground that Serral's relying on, when they take the fight, they don't get to run away. It makes the Ghosts more effective because, well, Snipes can actually have a higher chance of landing. For now, though, Lings are going to run forward. They're going to get on top of these Thors with the fungals. Once again, Thors will fall, but it seems like one of them stays alive. And Serral continues to take pretty solid trades. Meanwhile, on the other side, Broodlords on the siege here. Just the 3 of them. Their time is done. The Broodlords are not all that great right now, but they did force Thors out, and that means that Serral on this Lingbane Hydra Infestor composition is really effective. They're just shoving into the production. They're forcing a base to burn. And Serral, we talked about him having to take bases from Maru. This is it. He has this bottom right side base. He has position on it. He has creep on it. This is where the game really is going to start to swing, because this is a base on the bottom right side on the 6 o'clock position that Maru, that by all rights should be Maru's. So if Serral can mine out of this effectively in some way, can make sure he mines more of it out of it than Maru does, it's a great position for him. And this Ling run by is fantastic. It's incredible. It's just forcing Maru back. It's knocking down his reinforcements. So Serral has a base for Maru. Serral is shelling away the high ground of Maru, shutting down his production at least a little bit. The run by is starting to do well. And Maru is broke. He doesn't have a bank. He can't max out properly. All the money he has is immediately getting spent here into this army. So this, if you're a Serral fan, this is what's happening. So now again, blinding clouds, fungals. The army runs forward, but this one's not as good. Yeah, the Hydras stay alive, but a lot of Banelings fall to, quite honestly, minimal gain. And now as Serral's going to try to remax, he has to spend his money. He's got not a lot of larva, actually. As he tries to make this happen, Maru will be able to get a base in response. He gets the north side base, and even as Serral continues to be annoying with these 3 broods, you can probably build like 1 or 2 Vikings, and the Liberator is going to start to shell away at it, and that should deal with that. But I think this is almost dead supply for Serral right now. He's okay with losing them for value. And these Ling run-bys are merciless at this point. Most of the planetaries on this side of the map, they're dead. They don't exist anymore, so 7 more SCVs go down. Maru's going to lose another base. This was a planetary earlier. Now it's an orbital. And the Hydras need a stutter step. They need a... Serral's actually going to pull back here. Interesting. Okay, well, Serral is going to lose the base on the bottom side. And that is something. And that is important. Don't get me wrong. But the fact that Serral didn't get the orbital, he really just had to put the Hydras on it. And he didn't do so. So that's a little bit awkward. And now that's Maru's 3rd hatch in about 45 seconds. But again, Serral has mined a decent amount out of those bases that he's lost. Now he's going to take the north side from Maru, steal money from him. So again, I'm a fan. I think... So, and I mentioned this earlier. I think the one thing we've been missing is just the random burrowed infestor. Oh, is he going to see the ghosts? He has no vision right now, but we're getting ready for classic Serral. We're getting ready for the 1 neural into all the ghosts getting EMP'd. And I'm ready for it. That is how Serral wins games. That is how Serral wins these late games. So for now, pay attention. You do have that one random ghost. You could also just pop out a Neural and kill the ghost that way. That's also valid, but I prefer the ghost EMP Neural. It's just so much more stylish, you know? But anyway, now that Maru has transitioned for the most part back into ground ghost-mech, he's got one Thor, I think, one Thor on the map. Two Thors, I guess. 11 Corruptors on the way. Serral is transitioning back into that Sky Zerg, into that Broodlord composition once again. And I like how he's just kind of playing around with it. He's going back and forth. When Maru commits too hard to the Thors, he goes Broodlords, or he goes Hydraling Bane. When he commits too hard to, anti-ground stuff, we see Broodlords once again. But we should point out as well that Maru is getting a Raven. Getting a couple Ravens. And first of all, this means that the random Burled Infester that just is Serral's hallmark in this late game, that's not going to be nearly as impactful. Not nearly as impactful as it was. And on top of that one, it effectively gives all the units that Maru has, it gives them +2. Or it's minus, it takes 2, it means that Serral has only +1 upgrades, effectively, right? Because you lose that, you lose 2 armor. So it's a really nice little bit of something to round out the late game, especially against splash damage, especially against high DPS units. Maybe not like high individual impact, but certainly against like Thors, for example, it will make the Thors and the tanks that much more effective. Well, this Broodlord count, all of a sudden, it got very scary. Now, Maru scans this, though, and that's a big scan. He's going to see what's happening. I don't think it's going to save this north side base, though. This slow push coming out of our Zerg is just, it kind of feels, well, Maru's just not in the right position for it. It is the big deal, although, well, Serral takes damage on a missile turret with Broodlord, or it takes damage to his Broodlord from a missile turret, which doesn't feel like it should happen. You know, these are siege units. They should outrange that one for the most part. But Serral's got the slow siege on the north side, and actually he's going to pull backwards a little bit because he doesn't know where the army of Maru is. He realizes that he's getting damage on the north side. He's getting damage on the south side as well. So Maru's army has to be responding to one of them. And realistically, Maru's going to respond to the Broodlord. So Serral pulls back for now. And now here comes the hard push of Maru. Now, the spores on the left side really aren't doing all that much, and Serral's going to have to give this base up, but he got a base on the bottom side. He killed the base on the bottom left, bottom center. And that means he can afford to lose this. He gets the drones out. He mined money out of Maru's side of the map, and again, that is by far the most important thing. So Maru successfully, shoves Serral off of one of his bases, but I mean, this Ling backstab, these 8 to 10 crackling Lings are just, they're shredding everything. They're making life so hard for Maru. Right now, he's losing missile turrets, he's losing sensor towers, he's losing command centers. Maybe I think he lost a command center. And the amount of supply that Maru has to commit to deal with this is so much less than the supply that Serral has to commit to do it. So in general, this is just tremendously cost effective, and now Serral, realizing that the army moved bottom, says, yeah, that's fine, I'm going to kill your planetary. North side. Granted, not a lot of money here anymore. This is not nearly as impactful as it would have been 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, but it's still something. But Maru is, again, his economy is actually, apparently it's mining more than Serral's is these Dropper Lords. Serral made 7 of them. He did nothing with them. And now they're just slowly dying and getting God, and Serral's finding himself supply blocked. I wonder what the plan was actually for those Dropper Lords. I don't know. I'm very confused. But for now, though, Serral's going to run forward here. He's going to find a couple free Hellbats. They kill a lot of Lings, but they will fall down for the most part. And now this means that Serral, he's going to get a couple Medivacs. That's really nice. And the rest of these Hellbats are free. A couple Banelings running into them seems like a nice thing, but here come the ghosts from the north side. And remember, these ghosts have a ton of energy. They can snipe as much as they want. They can stay cloaked as long as they would like. They have a lot of effective power in the game right now, but Maru, he's not going to push neither Serral nor Maru are going to push this too hard for the moment. Yeah, we got the hard siege from the Broodlords. but I don't think this breaks through necessarily, and I don't think that Serral's going to commit to this too hard. But for now, we're going to have to see the snipes are going to go down. Oh, there's the fungal finally, but half the Broodlords fall, and the parasitic bomb, I mean, it gets a Viking, but there were not really a lot to start with. So that's actually, I said we weren't going to see a heavy commitment here. All the ghosts are dead, or the majority of them are. This is a great fight for Serral. And as the ghosts fall, it does seem like we're going to start to be able to see Serral really start to push through here for now. I mean, yes, there are Thors, and they're doing a solid job, and the repairs are nice, and the snipes are going to go down. But here come the blinding clouds, and one is just beautifully placed. And with the Neurals as well, that means the Thors are fighting themselves, so the Banelings are going to get on top. You got to deal with the ghost on the backside, but Serral breaks a base. He breaks so much of this army of Maru. And this actually might just be the breaking point in this game right now. Maru's broke. He's got 94 minerals. He's got 99 supply. And realistically, he's got one base that he's mining from. He's got like 5 minerals on this patch. Fine. He's got half a base. 4 mineral patches on this bottom side base, and that's all that Maru has the money to deal with. So he can maybe build one more army. Maybe he can build one more army. But for now, I mean, this is looking tremendously solid for a finished Zerg. And again, this is a game where Maru was taking very good trades in the mid game, in the late game. It was starting to look like a classic Maru late game TVZ. But Serral's really seized this one by the horns. Although in fairness, you know, we've seen Maru come back from worse. Nice scan there. Just the Infestor gets blown off the map. Yeah, we've seen Maru come back. I've cast Maru coming back from worse. I've seen Maru come back from against Serral, actually. Shout out to the Blackburn game, King of Battles Grand Finals, King of Battles 2 Grand Finals. Maru has just this incredible ability to come back into games that literally no other player can. But this one's hard. He's down 50 army supply. He's down a lot of money. Although Serral's not mining a ton. He's only on 37 drones. His max out is massive, but still pretty hard. So we actually look at economy here, and they're kind of mining the same. I mean, a lot of that's mules. So as I say that, I mean, now it's balanced out a little bit. But this is not a 70 drone Zerg that, you know, with the damage that he's done, would just be able to just flood forward and take over everything. Serral is taking a long time to max out. I mean, so too is Maru. But this might not be quite as bad as it felt. As now the Broodlords are going to go forward here. It's against a single Thor. The Fungals are decent. But I mean, I guess it is only a single Thor. Still feels awkward though, sending the Broodlords forward with really not a lot of coverage. But the EMPs are nice, but still the Fungals are going to go down. You got to get the Ghost. And hey, that's value. Maru's not mining all that much. He has, I mean, he's very quickly, he's going to have 2 mineral patches. There's a grand total of, what is that, 300-ish. Call it 250, 200. There's like less than 1,000 minerals left on bases that Maru is actually mining from. So he desperately needs to take the space on the bottom side. But there are so many good Broodlord positions that I don't know this is going to be allowed. I mean, you put Broodlords, yeah, where Serral has it right now on the high ground, and it's just going to be an infinite pressure. And yeah, sure, Maru might be able to get some workers on the minerals, but he's going to have to be constantly repairing. But here comes Serral once again here, just about maxed out. The blinding clouds go down. Serral's got a great concave. And yeah, you know what? Actually, that's not a great fight from Serral. All the Lings go forward a little bit too quickly. There are no Banelings with them, or not enough. Them Hellbats kill everything. And Maru holds on. He's still not mining, though, and that's the big deal. Serral can, albeit somewhat slowly, he can replenish this base. He can replenish this army. He can replenish the money that he's mining. Or he can replenish the army that he has, and Maru just can't. Not really. He's going to try to long distance mine once again, and that's where the Broodlords are just so powerful. In fact, the spores are doing damage to this orbital right here. So, oh, look at that. The Fungals as well, just to kill off all the, I love this. 2 Fungals kill all the mules. 2 Fungals kill off all these fresh mules. And that was kind of Maru's big burst of economy that he needed. So this is just, it's getting worse. And now we're going to see the orbital start to get so low here. It's, oh man. Serral's in a chokehold at this point, or Maru's in just an absolute chokehold. He's tapping out. He's getting ready to tap out. He can't breathe. It hurts so much. It hurts oh so very much, but he's not willing to tap out just yet because maybe there's a reverse he can go for. Maybe there's some way he can find his way out of things, but not right now as the ghosts run forward. But there's detection, and they get all their snipes canceled. The blinding clouds as well here. This is the fight that Serral's been looking for. Finally, he's going to break through. The one Thor will fall eventually. And now the Broodlords, they are pretty much uncontested. Yeah, some snipes will, well, I guess some snipes will go down. And maybe that wasn't as good of a fight for Serral as I thought it was. But again, it doesn't matter because Maru has literally 0 minerals and he's not mining any. He canceled, I guess, some units, but Maru has no money at all. He's got a long distance mine from this base. He really has no other option. That's really the only healthy mining base on the map. I mean, Serral, in fairness to Serral, like Serral's not mining much either. He's got 4 mineral patches. He's got about 1,200 minerals left on the map. That's more than Maru has. But if Serral keeps taking these inefficient trades, there is, again, it's getting less realistic by the moment, but there is, you know, somewhat of a realistic world where Maru does come back here. It's not going to happen though. The trades, adding the Vipers, they're just abducting single units. Serral realized that that was his game plan. That realized that that was how he was going to break through, and that has led us, of course, to a 1-game Serral lead here in Masters Coliseum Group A. On the bottom left in the blue, he's taking game number 1 right now. It's Serral. And on the bottom right in the red, down a map for onside, it's Maru. So, game 1, 36-minute epic. Maru, Serral went late game quick as you please. He went the dark build of roaches into 2 infestors into late game into lurkers, quick as possible. And Maru said, fine, bet. I'll do that. I'll go late game. Are you sure you want to go late game against me of all people? And Serral said, yeah, he did. Serral very much opted to go late game against Maru, and it worked out for him because in 36 minutes, he, for the most part, looked very good. For the most part, he just kind of won the game. Now this is game number 2 here, and Maru, game 1, Maru did something cool where he aped that this was the forward two racks idea. He aped this idea that he was going for pressure and reapers and things based on his positioning, and then he didn't do it. It was a single racks into an expand into a 2-1-1. And this time Maru's just doing the build. He's doing the build that Special invented, that Maru and Beyond popularized, and now has been taking over pretty much all the Western Terrans by storm. But anyway, the other thing I want to talk about as we see what's happening very early here is that Serral has been adopting this thing that we saw Solar do in every ZVT he played in the GSL, and we've seen some others do it as well, where Serral has gone and he went for an extractor trick to get his natural just a little bit faster. I mean, and what this means is you get your queen just a tiny bit faster. You mean you get your creep spray just a tiny bit faster. And technically against these 3 Reaper pressures, it's actually, it means that you stay alive a little bit. Or it means you have your defenses up just a little bit faster. It also means you're safe against like a 2 racks. Like when I say, I mean an actual proxy 2 racks, which we're seeing less and less of. But really what the thing here is, what this provides you is quicker queens and quicker lanes. And that means, of course, that you're just, you have to suffer less from the 2 racks Reaper kind of idea. So now we get to see if Maru's Reapers are as good as Beyond's. No, they're not. He loses one. Maru commits a little bit too hard there. Cheeky Maru, and oh. This is a very quick lair. The Roachborn going down as well. What do we... Okay, so what do we think? Is this Roachnitis? Is this Roach speed pressure just going off of that one? Is this... I guess you could be going 2-base Muta, but I doubt it. So really, with the Roachborn going down, this is 2 options. This is Roach speed or Roachnitis. And given how big New Humanity is, I'm willing to bet that this is going to be Roachnitis. Now, I said that a couple times in the past. I've been wrong every time because Nidus really seems to be out of the meta for just a little bit. But Mr. Loopy, thank you so much for the 10 gifted subs. I really appreciated that. That's awesome. Thank you. Big poggers, as Twitch chat has said. But anyway, yeah, there's a 3rd base on the way for Serral, but it is late. It is slow. And I guess it's just Roach speed. Actually, you know what? Why am I confused here? Serral did this, I think he did this at Gamers 8. I think this was the Gamers 8 build that Serral did, where it was kind of weird. I think he did. I think it was the Neo Humanity build as well, where he went for this 2-base Roach play, but it wasn't Nidus or anything like that. It was just into quick Roach speed so he could defend properly. And I'm a little worried about this push out of Maru. I think he gets this base. I don't think that I don't think this is gonna really be something that Serral gets away with. Yeah, so Maru's gonna kite around it here. Roaches and Queens are gonna start to try to join, but Maru just wants to target this thing down. The last couple units, there we go. They're gonna force the cancel, but they don't get the drones. So Serral commits to it again. And Maru did lose a decent amount of Marines to that. I still think it was worth it for him, but if this does mean the follow-up is not quite as powerful. But now if Serral's allowed to get away with this, the Roach push that he's going to hit is scary. It's very, very strong. You have the middle of the map. You're able to run right through that. You can get your creep highway through. You can just knock rocks down so quickly. And you have the gas. So what that means is effectively you can get away with less drones for the same value. So for now, Widowmine drop into the main base here. Serral, he's more than prepared. He's going to lose, what, 1 drone, maybe 2. He's got the drop into the natural. Serral's going to be prepared for this one too. So Maru's harassment not getting... Oh, no, never mind. He's going to find a ton here. The target fire right there. Great last second splits from Serral, but still 6 drones go down. And what could have been a disaster now isn't. That being said, here comes Serral on the push, and drone damage doesn't matter. If you lose all your production, if you lose the game, doesn't matter how many drones you killed. So this is now our second dead barracks. Maru literally has a factory and a starport. That is it. That is all he can produce out of right now. The barracks are trying to get remade, but Serral should cancel those very quickly here. These 1-1 upgrades, yeah, they're not going to complete either. That is not going to be a thing. Not with the Biles knocking it down. So Serral, yeah, he lost 6 drones. Who the hell cares? Who really cares? STVs are going to have to get pulled here. The Biostims on top of this. Maru desperately, he needs this hold. He needs to not take too much damage, but all the workers die and very little of Serral's army falls down in the exchange. Maru's dead. 22 workers to 38. The tank's now getting jumped upon, and Serral, that's a new build. That's not a build we see him do all that often. Serral takes the 2-0. He takes the 2-0 over Maru. Pretty cool series. Pretty cool set of games. So he's now 1-0 in Masters Coliseum.